You've been lied to about motivation, those morning routines, the 5-minute journals. They won't change a thing unless you say these 5 lines to yourself every single day. And no, this isn't some positive thinking nonsense. This is how the most powerful minds in history program themselves for success. Think about the last time you woke up feeling unstoppable. Maybe it lasted an hour. Maybe until your first problem hit. But what if you could lock in that mindset all day? What if you could rewire your brain to turn obstacles into fuel? That's what these 5 lines do. They're not affirmations. They're mental commands. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly why they work and how to use them. Your thoughts build your reality. Here's proof. You ever wake up with a thought like, today's gonna be terrible, and then surprise it is? That's not coincidence. That's your brain obeying orders. Every thought you have is a seed. Plant weeds, and your life becomes a jungle. Plant oak trees, and you build something that lasts centuries. Most people treat their minds like a junk drawer. Random worries, old regrets, half-baked dreams, all tossed in with no order. But here's the truth no one tells you. Your mind doesn't filter what's real. It builds reality from whatever you feed it. Think about anxiety. You replay a worst-case scenario in your head, and your body reacts like it's happening, sweaty palms, racing heart. That's proof. Your thoughts don't just reflect reality, they create it. Now let's talk about how this works. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system, RAs. It's like a filter. Tell it I'm unlucky and it'll highlight every missed bus, every rude customer. Tell it I always find a way, and suddenly you notice opportunities hidden in plain sight. This isn't magic, it's neuroscience. Take money for example. 2 people earn the same salary. One says I'll never have enough. The other says I'm learning to make my money grow. Guess who's stressed about bills in 6 months? Guess who's investing? Same starting point, different thought, different realities. Or relationships. Ever met someone who says everyone betrays me? Sure enough, they attract users and liars, not because the world's out to get them, because their mind is trained to seek and reward evidence of betrayal. Meanwhile, someone who thinks I attract loyal people might get hurt sometimes, but they also build unshakable friendships. Here's where mornings come in. The first 10 minutes after you wake up are like a mental reset button. Your subconscious is wide open. Whatever you feed it, that's the blueprint for your day. Scroll through bad news and your A's goes hunting for chaos. Say I control my reactions, and your brain starts scanning for ways to prove you right. This isn't about positive thinking, it's about strategic thinking. You wouldn't put rotten food in your body. Why put rotten thoughts in your mind? The ancient warriors knew this. They didn't just train their bodies, they trained their inner dialogue. Before battle they'd repeat, fear is a choice, pain is temporary, I am unbreakable. Over time, those words wired their brains to act with courage automatically. So tomorrow, before you check your phone, before you drown in noise, stand up, look in the mirror, say the first line, I control my reactions no matter what. Say it like you mean it. Not whispering, not mumbling, like you're giving an order to a soldier, because you are. That soldier is your future self. Line 1, I control my reactions no matter what. Ever watch 2 people get hit with the same problem? One collapses, the other shrugs and says, okay, what's next? That difference isn't luck. It's training, and the training starts with this line. Let's break it down. I control my reactions doesn't mean you're a robot. It means you're the driver, not the passenger. Imagine your emotions are a car. Most people let anger, fear, or stress grab the wheel. Then they're shocked when they crash. This line is you saying, nope, my hands stay on the wheel. Here's why it works. Your brain loves shortcuts. When something goes wrong, it defaults to whatever reaction you've practiced most. Yell when you're frustrated. That's the path of least resistance. But say this line daily, and you carve a new path. Soon pause, then respond becomes automatic. Real life test. Next time someone cuts you off in traffic, don't try to stay calm, just say this line out loud. I control my reactions. Watch what happens. Your chest might still tighten, but instead of honking or cursing, you'll feel this space like you step back from the heat. That space is power. Now the second half, no matter what, that's the game changer. Most people think control means everything's easy. Wrong. Control means even when it's hard, even when it hurts, you decide what happens next. Take rejection. You pitch an idea. Your boss laughs. Old you spirals. I'm terrible at this. New you hears the same laugh and thinks, interest. What's the next pitch? Same rejection, different reaction. And reactions determine results. This isn't theory. Prisoners of war use this. They can't control the torture, the hunger, but they control one thing: how they interpret it. Some break. Others survive by repeating, "This is training. I will endure." Their bodies suffer, but their minds stay free. You won't face torture, hopefully, but you'll face traffic jams, rude comments, failed plans. And every time you have a choice. Let it define you or let it refine you. Practice this line for a week. Say it while brushing your teeth. Whisper it before meetings. Scream it in your car. By day 7, you'll catch yourself mid-reaction, about to snap at your kid, about to quit the gym, and something will click. Wait, I'm in charge here. That's the moment everything changes. Why most people fail at discipline and how this fixes it. Discipline isn't about grinding your teeth and forcing yourself through misery. That's what most people get wrong. They think discipline means white-knuckling their way through life, resisting every temptation, suffering through every task. No wonder they fail. Real discipline is different. It's not about fighting against yourself. It's about rewiring yourself. It's about making the right choice feel like the only choice. And the key to that, linking pain to purpose. Let me explain. The human brain is wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. That's biology. So when you try to force yourself to do something hard, wake up early, eat clean, work when you don't feel like it, your brain screams, "No, this hurts. Stop." And most people listen. They give in. They hit snooze. They skip the workout. They procrastinate. But here's the secret. Discipline isn't about ignoring pain. It's about changing what pain means. Think about a marathon runner. Their legs burn. Their lungs ache. Their body begs them to stop, but they don't. Why? Because their brain has linked that pain to something bigger. Every step hurts, but it also means strength, endurance, pride. The pain isn't just pain anymore, it's proof. That's what the second line does. Every challenge is here to teach me something. When you say this, you're not just slapping a motivational quote on your struggle. You're reprogramming your brain. You're taking the thing that hurts, the early morning, the rejection, the hard work, and you're giving it meaning. Let's break it down. Say you're exhausted. You had a long day and the last thing you want to do is cook a healthy meal. The easy choice is ordering takeout. The disciplined choice is cooking anyway. Most people fail here because they see cooking as just another chore. But if you say every challenge is here to teach me something, your brain starts searching. What's the lesson here? Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's resilience. Maybe it's proving to yourself that you keep promises, even small ones. Suddenly, cooking isn't just about food. It's about building trust in yourself. And that changes everything. Or take failure. Most people hate failing. They avoid risks because they don't want to feel stupid or embarrassed. But if you say this line after a failure, your brain shifts. Instead of thinking, "I'm terrible at this," you start asking, "What did this teach me?" Maybe it taught you what doesn't work. Maybe it showed you a weakness you didn't know you had. Maybe it forced you to get creative. Failure stops being a dead end and starts being a detour. A longer, harder, but necessary path to where you need to go. This is how you build discipline that lasts. Not by fighting yourself, but by training yourself to see struggle differently. Pain isn't the enemy. Pain without purpose is. So the next time you're tired, the next time you want to quit, say this line out loud. Every challenge is here to teach me something. Then ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Your brain will find an answer. And once it does, discipline stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a choice. Line 3, fear is a liar. I act anyway. Fear doesn't protect you. It lies to you. Think about the last time fear stopped you from doing something. Maybe it was speaking up in a meeting. Maybe it was asking someone out. Maybe it was starting a project you cared about. What did fear tell you? You'll embarrass yourself. They'll say no. You'll fail. Now think, how many of those things actually happened? Probably none. That's the thing about fear. It's not a warning system. It's a prison. It doesn't keep you safe. It keeps you stuck. And the only way out is to act before fear gets the last word. That's what this line does. Fear is a liar. I act anyway. It's not about never feeling afraid. It's about refusing to let fear decide. Here's why it works. Fear thrives on uncertainty. Your brain hates not knowing what's coming next, so it fills in the blanks with worst-case scenarios. What if I sound stupid? What if they laugh? What if I mess up? The more you listen, the bigger those what ifs get. But action kills fear. Not slowly, not eventually, immediately. Studies show that the moment you start moving, the second you take a step toward the thing you're afraid of, your brain's fear response starts shutting down. It's like flipping a switch. The monster under the bed disappears the second you turn on the light. So how do you use this line? First, start to recognize when fear is talking. That voice in your head that says, don't do it. That's not wisdom, that's fear. Then say the line, fear is a liar, I act anyway. Not in your head, out loud. Say it before you hit send on that email. Say it before you walk into that room. Say it when your hand is shaking and your stomach is tight. Then, and this is the most important part, move. Send the email. Walk into the room. Do the thing before fear can regroup. You'll notice something strange. The fear doesn't go away because you succeeded. It goes away because you acted. Even if you fail, even if it's messy, the fear loses its power, because now you know fear was lying. You survived. And the more you do this, the quieter fear gets. It doesn't disappear, but it stops screaming. It becomes background noise, something you notice but don't listen to. That's freedom. So the next time fear tries to stop you, don't argue with it. Don't try to convince yourself you're not afraid. Just say the line and act. Fear is a liar. You don't have to believe it. The secret weapon of unstoppable people. Most people wait for motivation to strike like lightning. They think, when I feel inspired, then I'll take action. But here's the truth. Unstoppable people don't rely on motivation. They don't wait for the perfect mood or the right moment. They operate on something far more powerful, identity. This is where most systems fail. They tell you to set goals, make plans, track progress. All good things, but they miss the core. Because when your behavior clashes with your identity, you'll always revert back. The smoker who says, I'm trying to quit, will struggle far more than the one who says, I'm not a smoker. One is fighting against themselves. The other has already changed. Line var is the bridge. I am the type of person who... This isn't wordplay. This is neurological reprogramming. Your brain is constantly looking for evidence to confirm what you believe about yourself. Tell it I'm bad with money, and it will happily prove you right. Tell it I'm the type of person who builds wealth, and suddenly you start noticing opportunities you used to miss. Let me show you how this works in practice. Take two people at the gym. One says, I'm trying to get in shape. The other says, I'm the type of person who never misses a workout. Who do you think will be there consistent? The second person isn't exercising willpower. They're simply being who they are. The action flows naturally from the identity. This explains why New Year's resolutions fail. People focus on what they want to achieve, lose weight, make more money, rather than who they need to become. Achievement is a byproduct of identity. Want to write a book? Don't say I'm trying to write. Say I'm a writer. Then act like one, which means writing regularly. Studying the craft, finishing what you start. The magic happens in the repetition. Every time you say I'm the type of person who bunt, and then act accordingly, you're giving your brain new evidence. At first it might feel like a lie. That's normal. You're overwriting years of conditioning. But with enough repetition, the new identity takes root. The actions stop feeling forced and start feeling natural. This is how habits truly form, not through sheer discipline, but through aligned identity. The person who sees themselves as healthy chooses salad without struggle. The person who identifies as wealthy invests automatically. The person who knows they're a finisher doesn't entertain quitting. Your assignment today, complete the sentence, I am the type of person who bunt. Make it specific, make it meaningful. Then for the next week, say it every morning and let it guide your smallest decision. Watch what happens when your actions start flowing from who you believe you are, rather than what you think you should do. Line 5. Today, I trade comfort for growth. Comfort is the silent killer of potential, not failure, not even stress. Comfort. Because while failure at least teaches you something, comfort teaches you nothing, while convincing you everything is fine. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Growth only happens outside your comfort zone. Always, without exception. That moment when you feel resistance, when your brain screams, this is hard, let's stop, That's the exact moment growth is available. Most people miss it because they listen to that voice. Unstoppable people recognize it as the starting line. Line 5. Today, I trade comfort for growth. Turns this realization into a daily practice. It reframes discomfort from something to avoid into something to pursue. Cold shower, good. That's growth hitting your nervous system. Difficult conversation, good. That's growth for your relationship. Extra hour of work when tired, good. That's growth for your discipline. This isn't about masochism. It's about recognizing that all meaningful progress requires some degree of discomfort. The body only builds muscle when stressed. The mind only grows when challenged. Skills only develop through struggle. By making this trade consciously, you stop resisting the very things that make you better. Let's break down how to use this line effectively. First thing in the morning, declare it out loud. Today, I trade comfort for growth. Then, and this is crucial, define specifically what that means today. Maybe it's making that phone call you've been avoiding. Maybe it's holding that extra 30 seconds in your workout. Maybe it's choosing the healthy meal when junk food would be easier. The power comes in the daily repetition. Most people think growth happens in giant leaps. The big promotion, the massive transformation. In reality, it's the accumulation of small uncomfortable choices made consistently. The writer who writes when uninspired. The entrepreneur who works when unmotivated. The leader who speaks up when it's easier to stay quiet. What makes this line particularly effective is its time-bound nature. Today makes it manageable. You're not signing up for a lifetime of discomfort, just today's opportunities to grow. This makes the trade feel fair, even exciting. And when tomorrow comes, you make the same trade again. Your brain will fight this at first. It's wired for comfort and conservation. That's why the verbal declaration matters. It overrides the primitive resistance. With enough repetition, something remarkable happens. You begin to crave these growth opportunities. What once seemed difficult becomes your new normal. Your comfort zone expands. Your capacity increases. This is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary things. Not through talent or luck, but through the daily trading of comfort for growth. So tomorrow morning, say the line, then seek out the discomfort. Not because you have to, but because you understand that's where your future self is waiting. How to make these lines stick the right way. The difference between people who change their lives and those who don't comes down to one thing: implementation. It's not about knowing what to do, it's about doing it the right way long enough that it becomes automatic. These 5 lines aren't magic spells. They won't work if you whisper them half asleep while scrolling through your phone. They won't work if you say them once and forget them. They work when you program them into your nervous system, when you repeat them with such intensity that your brain has no choice but to rewire itself around them. Here's how to do it. 1. Say them like your life depends on it. Most people mumble affirmations like they're reading a grocery list. That's useless. Your brain doesn't respond to weak signals. It responds to commands delivered with conviction. Stand up. Look in the mirror. Say each line like you're giving an order to a soldier, because you are. That soldier is your future self. Say them with your chest, not your throat. Say them like you mean them, because if you don't believe them yet, you have to act as if you do until your brain catches up. 2. The first 5 minutes of your day are gold. Your brain is most programmable right after you wake up. The mental barriers are down. The critical doubting voice hasn't fully activated yet. That's your window. Before you check your phone, before you let the world's noise in, drill these lines in. 5 minutes. That's all. But those 5 minutes set the tone for the next 16 hours. 3. Attach them to a trigger. Habits stick when they're tied to something you already do. Brush your teeth? Say them right after. Pour your coffee? Say them while it brews. The key is consistency. Same time, same place, same intensity. 4. Reinforce them throughout the day. These aren't just morning mantras. They're battle tools. When you hit resistance, when you're tired, when you're stressed, when fear creeps in, that's when you deploy them. Stuck in traffic? I control my reactions. About to procrastinate? I am the type of person who finishes what they start. Feeling comfortable? Today I trade comfort for growth. The more you use them in real time, the faster they become automatic responses instead of conscious efforts. 5. The 30-day rule. Your brain doesn't rewire overnight. Studies show it takes at least 30 days of repetition to solidify new neural pathways. That means no skipping days, no half efforts. Commit to this like your future depends on it, because it does. What science says about self-talk. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a thought and a fact. Every word you say to yourself, whether it's "I've got this" or "I'm going to fail," shapes your reality at a biological level. Your brain on words. The MRI evidence. Neuroscientists have watched live brain scans of people engaging in self-talk. When you repeat a phrase like "I control my reactions," something incredible happens. Your prefrontal cortex lights up. This is the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, focus, and emotional regulation. But here's what's even more fascinating. Negative self-talk. "I can't handle this," weakens the neural connections in that same region. It's like doing reps at the gym, but with reverse effect. Every negative thought literally makes your brain worse at handling stress. 2. The physiology of belief. When you say "fear is a liar, I act anyway," your body responds before your mind does. Your heart rate steadies. Your breathing deepens. Cortisol, the stress hormone, drops. This isn't placebo. It's neurochemistry. Your brain releases dopamine when you affirm something empowering. That dopamine makes the thought stickier, so you're more likely to act on it next time. 3. The habit loop. Every time you repeat one of these lines, you're strengthening a mental circuit. At first, it feels forced, but with enough repetition, the pathway becomes default. That's how people who seem naturally disciplined or confident operate. They've burned those thoughts so deep into their brains that they don't need willpower anymore. The 5% rule. Research shows that just 5% more positive self-talk can lead to measurable improvements in resilience, focus, and performance. You don't need to eliminate all doubt. You just need to tip the scales slightly in your favor. These 5 lines are the lever. When you'll start seeing changes, real timeline. The first time you stand in front of the mirror and say these lines out loud, you're going to feel ridiculous. Your voice might crack. You might laugh at yourself. That's normal. That's day 1. Here's what nobody tells you about transformation. It doesn't happen in a blinding flash of inspiration. It happens in the quiet accumulation of days where you show up, even when it feels stupid, even when you don't see results yet, even when that voice in your head whispers, "This isn't working." By day 3, something subtle shifts. The words come out smoother. You don't hesitate as much before saying them. Your reflection starts looking back at you with more certainty. Day 7 is when the first real cracks in your old mindset appear. You'll be in the middle of a stressful situation, and without thinking, one of these lines will pop into your head. Maybe it's when your coworker says something irritating, and instead of reacting, you hear "I control my reaction." Maybe it's when you're about to skip the gym and "I am the type of person who never misses workouts" stops you. These moments feel small, but they're everything, proof that the seeds are taking root. 2 weeks in, people around you might start noticing something different. They won't be able to pinpoint it, but they'll see it in how you carry yourself, how you respond to problems. Meanwhile, you'll realize you're spending less time arguing with yourself about doing hard things. The resistance is still there, but it's quieter, like background noise you can tune out. Day 30 is when the magic happens. That thing that used to take willpower, it's just what you do now. The person who needed motivation to get out of bed becomes the person who gets up because that's who they are. The mind that used to spiral with worry now automatically looks for the lesson in challenges. It's not that life gets easier, you get stronger. But here's the crucial part most people miss. This isn't the finish line. Day 30 is just the beginning of a new normal. Now the real work starts. Maintaining what you've built. Going deeper, stacking more layers onto this foundation. Because growth isn't a destination, it's a direction. The timeline isn't the same for everyone, but the sequence never changes. Awkwardness before ease, repetition before mastery, faith before results. The only question is, will you still be saying these lines when they feel silly, so you can be there when they start changing your life? The one mistake that ruins everything. There's one guaranteed way to make sure none of this works. One single error that erases progress faster than anything else. It's not saying the lines wrong. It's not missing the perfect time of day to say them. It's far simpler and more dangerous than that. skipping days. Your brain doesn't learn through good intentions. It learns through relentless repetition. Every morning you stand in front of that mirror and declare these lines. You're carving the grooves a little deeper. Every day you skip is like pouring sand back into those grooves. Neuroscience shows it takes consistent reinforcement to build new neural pathways. Miss a day, and the pathway starts fading. Miss two, and you're back to square one. It's not fair, but it's how your brain is wired. Use it or lose it. Think of it like training a dog. If you're inconsistent with commands, the dog gets confused. Your subconscious mind works the same way. Show up one day with discipline, then skip the next, and your brain doesn't know what to believe. Is this who you are now, or was that just a temporary phase? The people who transform their lives understand this at a bone-deep level. They know that the chain of days not broken is more powerful than any single perfect day. They know that showing up at 60% is infinitely better than not showing up at all. There will be mornings when you're tired, mornings when you're rushed, mornings when you're not feeling it. Those are the mornings that matter most. Those are the days that separate those who change from those who just talk about changing. The commitment is simple but non-negotiable. 30 days straight. No exceptions. No I'll do it later. No just this one. The moment you start bargaining is the moment you start losing. This isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about proving to yourself day after day that you're the kind of person who keeps promises to yourself. That proof becomes the foundation. Everything else is built on. So when that alarm goes off tomorrow, and every day after, remember, this isn't just another morning. It's another stroke of the chisel, shaping who you're becoming. Another deposit in the bank of your future self. Another step on the only path that actually leads where you want to go. Skip it, and you're not just missing a day, you're unraveling the progress you've already made. Show up and you're not just checking a box, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who does what it takes. The choice seems small in the moment. The consequences are anything but. These aren't just lines, they're mental armor, and armor only works if you wear it every day. So tomorrow, before you check your phone, before you drown in noise, stand up, say them out loud, and watch how your life bends to match them.